Hi, everybody. This is Martin Pytela for Life Enthusiast Podcast. And with me today, Matthew Hazen and Terry. And they come to us with a message called MasterPeace. You'll see and hear in a moment what that's all about. I am so excited because this is a foray into a territory that I've been following for a good many years. In fact, this is what got me dug out from the hole that I was in. Not this specific product, but I think this specific product is going to make a huge difference in your life. All right, here goes. Matthew Hazen, CEO of MasterPeace. Why don't you tell us how you got here and why you got here? Why does it matter that we're talking about MasterPeace and what is it anyway?
The world that we're in right now, we can look around and people just can recognize we're in a health crisis. All the things that we used to do to be healthy, it used to just take a walk a day and a decent diet, and you could be healthy. And we're far from that now. Now we're in a world where we've moved into a world with smaller and smaller sized poisons, and it's getting stuck in the human bodies now. Binders are incredible at binding those toxins and then leaving the body. And so we went after the very best binder that we could find, and we found that was zeolite, a natural mineral made by Mother Earth to actually purify itself. And we thought zeolite was the best part of the front end of the formula that goes into MasterPeace. And we knew when it removes those things that are trapped in the body, that the body has tried to learn to use healthy. And we wanted to make sure and replace that with what we could find and what actually science understands as the most nutrient dense substance on Earth, and that is marine plasma. So we're looking at a really amazing formula that is doing things for people on an individual level and what will help our world on a level that we really haven't seen before. And it's pretty amazing because we're at the very beginning. We're seeing results from people that are very rare. I'm waking up like this morning to a gentleman in Canada who has seizures almost every day. He has huge tumors pressing on his brain and whatnot, and he's tried to do everything holistically, alternative medicine wise, allopathic medicine wise to get solutions. And this is the first month in like almost a year that he's gone to get his MRI with iodine where his tumor hasn't grown. And from his testimony, of course, I'm not a doctor. I certainly would never claim to be. And so big time medical disclaimer from me and human consciousness support and a MasterPeace formula. You got a problem, you want to go seek advice with your doctor. That's always the best advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm just someone who has pretty good knowledge on things, and I'm very opinionated. So I want to get that out of the way. But we're dealing with people across the board that are getting unprecedented results with their health. I think everybody knows at this point that good sleep leads to a good day of feeling better. And people are getting sleep with MasterPeace that they claim is from MasterPeace almost across the board. That is allowing them to have better days where they operate better.
This sounds hopeful. So let's roll it back a little ways. I have had my own health story, which starts with a total disaster. As a 25-year-old, I got poisoned with mercury thanks to a dental application, 12 mercury amalgam fillings. And next thing you know, I'm caving in. 10 years in, I was fairly crippled, riddled with back problems, migraines, allergies, weight gain, periodontal disease, brain fog, seizure, you name it. I had it. And it was zeolite that got me out of it. So clearly there is a great potential for the toxicity that people now acquire through air, water, especially injections. If you take a bivalent or multivalent flu shot, I promise you, you're stuffing mercury in your body. And if you eat tuna, then you're adding to that. And if you're born to a mother who who did that, then you're already born with a head start of that sort of thing. So realize that living in this industrial age, we are being bombarded with plenty of material that is going to take our body down. I worked with zeolite back in the 80s when it was pioneering work. Now we have learned lots. Tell me how this MasterPeace zeolite has evolved from the let's grind up some rocks.
Right. So we as we've made our way into this industrial revolution and the technology of it, the way we're doing everything in the world is going into from what used to be what would be a micrometer or micron level. We're moving into a nano world, and that's where the insecticides are at, which have a lot of different chemicals that are harmful to the human being. So that's getting sprayed on the food. The things that are coming down from the chemtrails that have been well tested now thousands of times, and we're past the point of being able to refute or discuss it as whimsical. And those things are a nanometer sized. And this whole world that these processes and technology that have gotten us there, what the nano is so small. You're talking about something that micrometer is invisible, but we've moved even smaller thousands of times into a size that is so small that it enters into our cells. And that's the difference. Where we were in a world 30 years ago, where all this bad stuff that we could talk about, microplastics and everything else, all that stuff was getting into the body and causing problems, but we knew how to deal with it. We're not there anymore.
And a lot of the conditions that we've mentioned, and a lot of the conditions that we see, people aren't realizing that it's more than likely 100% of the time really coming from a lack of homeostasis in the body. And that's even on a mind level. So when we're talking about toxins, we're also talking about toxic thoughts, traumas that haven't been resolved. So that's a holistic approach to it. So when we're talking about detox on a physical level, that's really important to get our mind and our psyches in line. So how much more so now that we have even more proof about what's in the soil, what's coming down from the airplanes and things like that, and the size material of that. We need something that's next level. We need something that's going to address that. And you know what? A lot of the conditions that people have, diseases that people experience, they just go away because the body knows what to do. The body knows how to heal itself, but it can't do that if it's riddled with these toxins and also doesn't have the nutrition so the cells can function properly.
So Terry, are you actually addressing both of these things with this MasterPeace product?
Actually, we are. Yeah, we are. So the second part of the formula is marine plasma. And that is what you might call on the back end. That's 99% of the actual formula. And marine plasma is 100% bioavailable at the cellular level. So we're talking about the kind of nutrition that most of us are not getting. 99.9% of us on the planet aren't getting that. Marine plasma itself is a very unique substance. It's worth taking the time to look up. Ocean Plasma, I think it's .com, Matthew, oceanplasma.org.
Yeah, oceanplasma.org. Yep.
We'll give you a lot of information there. So that is the driving, let's say, the zeolite itself can drive itself into the body. However, when you pair it with the marine plasma, that bioavailability, even though zeolite's not digestible, marine plasma is. And so when you have that kind of piggybacked on top of each other, what we're seeing, and this was an experiment, nobody had done this before, is that it seems to be driving the zeolite in. And what that's doing, it's allowing the exchange of, let's talk about a heavy metal. Now, heavy metals, we've been able to do other cleanses and detoxes, chlorella, spirulina, cilantro, but I'm not sure those were getting inside the cell. And even though we don't have scientific proof that that's happening yet, it seems like all the research that we do have, that is what's happening. So nevertheless, whether it's intracellular or intercellular, so you have a heavy metal that's taking up residence in whatever part of the body or whatever cell it's in, and it's going to grab on. It doesn't want to leave because it's a bully and it has a higher positive charge. So now when you get zeolite, it's going to be able to attach to that, and it's going to want to pull it out, and it might pull it out, whether it has the right nutrients and minerals around it or not. However, when you have a proper nourishing fluid now around that, the body does what's called cation exchange, and it will exchange minerals for minerals. So heavy metals, when they leave, they are actually trying to do the function of what a healthy natural mineral does in our body. And it's not working right, and it's all wonky. So then the zeolite says, sorry, you're out of here. And then the marine plasma can come in and replace that with whatever particular nutrient or nutrients, in more probably cases, because it's chock full of them. Really every component that your body needs is in the marine plasma. And so automatically that cell is able to function correctly. That's how we're seeing it right now. And by the testimonials, we're really seeing that that's probably what's happening too. So on every level, we're seeing that this formula makes sense. And also by the results that we're getting with the just people's what they're telling us, it's just like, well, it seems like what we've been thinking all along with how this formula is put together, that is what's happening. So the body knows how to, it will heal. It's the only thing that can heal, but you've got to get out the bad and put in the good.
All right. Actually, this marine plasma is not well understood, and I think we should spend a few minutes talking about what it is, why it is, how it is. As far as I know, it's essentially the life force of the ocean itself. I mean, the ocean I see as sort of like the amniotic fluid from the womb from which all life is born. But to me, this marine plasma seems to be somehow the concentrated goodness, wellness, the life force itself. Do you have some other words for describing it?
Matthew?
You know, I would say as science understands it, and when we're looking at the molecular composition of things and seeing what is good and bad out there, marine plasma is the healthiest, nutrient dense on all levels a substance that we know of on Earth. It has a very dense amount of what you would call unmodified RNA, which is a program or blueprint, a bio program or bio blueprint that in a natural way tells your body how to perfect itself and bring itself back to homeostasis. It provides all the necessary information and nutrients. Marine plasma gives you all the information and nutrients that your body needs to work with. Now, the few studies that they've done, they will let out of large animals and humans, like half of their blood, and then put in half of what you would call marine plasma that's been diluted down to be the same mineral density of, isotonic is the word for it, isotonic marine plasma. And they've had some amazing results with the animals. Within days, you can't even tell that they had any type of transfusion because their body's already converted it. That means it's super bioavailable. And so the zeolite at a nanometer size level goes into the deepest recesses of the body. It becomes at an intracellular capability. Any particle that's less than 100 nanometers, and if you have the right environmental situations inside of the body, you can actually talk about at a 250 or 300 nanometer size level. That becomes small enough that it can go anywhere, and that's the whole nano talk. And so we have zeolite that can go anywhere and be able to bind out the bad stuff. And then you have the healthiest stuff on Earth, which is the marine plasma, coming in to replace it. And what we're seeing human bodies do, and the results are mind-blowing and speak for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with marine plasma from the work from France. Quinton is the old brand. They have been around since First World War, when they were using marine plasma as a substitute to blood transfusions because they had so many bleeders that they were in fact using, I think they were even using straight saline as a replacement for the volume, because you need volume first and foremost, because if you lose too much blood, you need to replace the fluids. But anyway, so they have been making this for a good while. The plasma that you're using, is that a different source than what the French people use?
It's a better source. We were looking at Quinton too, and there's a lot that goes in. It's kind of like anything else, right? When you're talking about an ingredient or a supplement, it's all about the sourcing of where you get it from. And there's a lot more that goes into things than I think the average person understands, even in terms of like intention. And Quinton is an amazing company. They are a very successful company, and their size shows that. And what ends up happening is, you have several different boats that are going out to several different areas. These are very specific areas that have to have very specific conditions for the marine plasma to be at its highest sourced. And like with all things, if we're talking about the healthiest substance on earth, of course, any marine plasma is going to be better than a lot of other stuff. But when we're talking about being the very best and creating a product that has all the highest sourced ingredients, that's going to be the most effective thing out there. We looked at Quinton very well, and we ended up going with the best marine plasma out there, which is a company called Ibiza Formentera out of Spain. It's gathered and harvested in a protected area by a husband and his wife, and I'm not sure if his business partner goes out on the boat or whatnot, but this guy has he is harvesting marine plasma to help the world, to help people. It helped his life in an infinite way, and they go out there, have all the amazing equipment. It's one boat, it's one guy that's always deciding, are we going to harvest this stuff? And it's an approach that we were very comfortable with once we were vetting the marine plasma. That was a big deal for us. That we vetted every marine plasma that could be seen and sought out on Earth. We looked up and dug deep into them, and the marine plasma that we're using with MasterPeace is next level. It totally is.
From what we understand, marine plasma harvesting is something that needs to be done correctly. Marine plasma just doesn't do what it's supposed to do on time. And so when we had an interview with David, the owner of Ibiza Formentera, he explained that to us. It was really interesting. So what he's able to do with a more grassroots approach is he's able to find the best area at the time. He knows not to harvest in the summertime. That's important because sea plasma is not at its best then. So what he does, he's trying to find the very best, which means the timing has to be right. He might shut down his whole operations all summer long. He's going to be going out and finding where the phytoplankton are active right there. And it's all about them. So they're not setting up appointments and saying, we're going to be here at this time and so that you can harvest, right? So that was a difference between what I understood with the Quinton water and with the Ibiza Formentera, and why we feel that process and the way he does it is just next level, because I think the end product is next level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've used both the Quinton product and the MasterPeace, and here's a bottle of it, and of the MasterPeace. And what's interesting about it, when I put it in my mouth, it has the distinct feel of this life force entering. It's so unmistakable. Like, I mean, your body gets used to it. It's the first cut, the first impression. When you first try it, it's just so distinct in how it enters the body. I mean, as time goes, we adjust, right? We just say, oh, well, this is just the salty stuff I take. But
it's instantaneous. It will actually absorb instantaneously through your mucous membrane.
Yeah, it goes quick. But I just distinctly recall when I first took it, the memory of, I should say this, I've spent years working with Ormus. Ormus, O-R-M-U-S, is a substance that's not well researched in the mainstream because it doesn't respond to the mainstream thinking. It's a something that appears to be only 2 dimensions here and 1 dimension somewhere else. It's just doesn't behave regular. Anyway, I spent years extracting it, concentrating it. I've made it out of Dead Sea salt, out of Atlantic salt, out of Himalayan salt. And when you're extracting it, you're taking it out of the deposits that was in the ocean. Anyway, there's a very distinct feel to when you ingest Ormus. And this thing has a very similar vibration.
Interesting.
And I guess if I were to speculate further, I would say this. All life seeks out Ormus and concentrates it wherever it can. And it's highly possible that the plankton goes to wherever these maybe cold stream and warm stream is mixing, where the nutrients are more dense at the moment. And it's highly possible that they just simply find it, and then the life force blooms, and that's where they grow quickly, when the underlying nutrient situation is optimal. Anyway, that's a speculation on my part, but it's based on 30 years of messing around with it.
Yeah, interesting.
And I'm actually very familiar with Ormus and the different ways to make it, actually. And you're right, it does have a very particular, I like that. I haven't actually thought of that until you said that just now, but I believe you're very right. It does. Because it's allowing your body to go to a place where it can actually do its best, its magical, highest level work for itself. Yeah.
Yep.
There's something about the alchemy, if that's the right word, if I'm using that correctly, of MasterPeace. I don't think it's just zeolites. That what Matt has done with the formulator at Kansas State University is next level, and the marine plasma finding the best is next level, and then the energetics that's in there too, because that's also infused in our formula. All kinds of any way that we can to make sure it's structured and energized. The synergy of it, I think, is something that that's why we're seeing some of the instantaneous results that we're seeing. I had a heavy metal poisoning years ago, and I've never gotten straight, totally 100% right. And I've tried zeolites too, and that helped me get out of the mess I was in. But not until MasterPeace did I see an actual difference within like 48 hours of cognitive function coming back. So there's something. It must be the alchemy of all these things that we're talking about, because it's different. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you talk much about the energetics and how you do with it?
We don't talk about it enough.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't talk about it totally enough. We can all agree on that one on our team. But yeah, so what we have is an electromagnetic component to it, where we remove the positive polarity out of the product. Where a product is made, it's and created, and the people behind it with their intention has a lot going into something. And what we have is MasterPeace has a set property that was cleared just for this structure. It's a brand new structure where there's no chemicals. There's never been any chemicals inside of there. There's never been any grumpy workers, if people believe in energy or anything like that. There is non-local scalar technology that beams on it, scalar technology that has had 13 different research studies done by Gary Schwartz at the University of Arizona, who is renowned for not going with whoever is paying him for the study. He goes where the science takes him. And this is a very, very great technology. What I would say is the most leading edge, state-of-the-art technology available for this type of quantum work, and they are FLFE, which stands for Focused Life Force Energy. And this has a lot to do with the scientific work of David Hawkins and his level of consciousness. If you're familiar with kinesiology or muscle testing, it's everything with that. Our product has been tested by world-class experts at kinesiology and muscle testing. Several of them have come back that our product, in terms of operating as a food or nutritional or what you would maybe call a dietary supplement on behalf of the highest good for all of humanity, it tests out at the highest. And so, and going back to the very first day before this thing, when this thing was just a thought by me, I can say that the purest intention that could ever go into something that was just there to help mankind, just to pull it off, that was the whole inspiration, was to pull off the unpull-offable and provide some type of solution for the kind of times that we were in. And that is what got me up in the morning. That is what got every decision made. Every time we had to make a move and figure out something or do anything, we were muscle testing it. And there's no way we would have had anything that is as tenth of as great as what MasterPeace is for people right now if we had any type of other approach. And so, we also, sorry, even sealing up the bottles, right? You have that little seal on a bottle. Even those little seals, they're not done with a machine that's like a hot dryer. It's done with an Pytela wand, right? And so it's Pytela wand. Everybody knows those little Pytela wands, and those are cool, right? So even that, right? So every time we have any little spot of doing it's done that way. And our process is so irreplicatable and unduplicatable that when we first, now this wasn't the choice that I wanted to make, but when we were looking at getting this made for the masses, fulfillment centers shut their doors on us. They don't want to have talks. They're not open to when we're talking about all the different little steps. It's way past their pay grade.
I know that mass production doesn't do woo-woo well.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that turns
totally
into
wow.
Yes, all right.
Yes.
This is awesome. So we have nourish the soul, not just the cell. We have nourish the consciousness, not just the body. And we have take out the trash.
Yeah. And replace it with the best there is that we know of. Yep.
Well, that is the product for the times. All right, so tell a few stories.
I can tell my story.
Nikki.
Tell Terry's story. Terry, tell your story.
So I had a pretty acute heavy metal poisoning. It was a little over 10 years ago. It was taking a product, and the product itself may have had heavy metals in it, but it was also I think a chelating type product. And it could have been that, and when you're taking a chelating product, when you're grabbing stuff out of the recesses of your body and you don't have a binder, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to retox. And so I think that's what happened, or a combination of both. And within about 2 weeks, I was, brain fog was crazy. I'd be driving in a very familiar area and I didn't know where I was. Like literally I had to stop, and I was crying and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was afraid. I was getting other symptoms, and I wish I would have journaled at that time. I don't really recall, but I remember telling my family, I'm like, keep checking on me every day. So I went to the best environmental toxologist actually in the nation, who happened to be in my area, Walter Crinian, if anyone knows him. He's since passed. But he was teaching at a teaching college, a naturopathic one, and I went to him, and I had students with me, and that's when you get the best care, because everyone wants to do everything right. And they did the EDTA and the provocation test, and yeah, there was high amounts of aluminum. There was 2 others, and I want to say one of them was lead, but I can't say for sure the other 2, but I know aluminum was high. So I fessed up on the product and I said, I think it's probably this. And we looked at some other things in my world, like tuna. You mentioned that earlier too. Mercury maybe was one of them. Again, I don't recall. So I did all the things for a long time. And that's really what got me strong on the path that I'm on with holistic detoxification, because I did all that on myself. So I did, the coffee enemas and just the constant cleansing and the detox and all that. And I got myself to where I thought that I might not have to quit my job, because my job is very cognitive heavy. And so, but I haven't been the same. I could tell I'm just not as quick. I used to be super quick and just super cognitive, just functioning high level. And so I met Matt not too long ago, maybe it was June, May, something like that. And he sent me a bottle. And I had used zeolites in the past too, by the way. ACZ, I use them. I use some powdered stuff. And so second day, literally on the second day, I noticed I felt a lifting, and it felt to me like I wasn't trying so hard to think. I wasn't trying so hard to remember. I was getting my intelligence back. Things were coming to me more quickly. And that was the very first symptom I had. Well, yeah, I guess the symptom or the increase there that I had in the first month. And everyone was talking about these dreams. And I'm like, my dreams are already vivid. Like, I already have like a movie playing every night, you know? And I'm like, that's not going to be me, you know? Second month, this is what vivid dreams are. Now I know what vivid dreams are. I mean, I always dreamed in color and all that. So it's crazy now, the awareness that I have during sleep. So those two things are what I've noticed. I changed my world within the first month, the first week, really. So that's something I can point to for myself, knowing I had this. It was documented on paper. And now I see a huge difference, even, 10, 12 years into later in life. So that's my experience. Matt's got a lot of them with people that we work with.
I wouldn't even know where to start. I do wake up every single day with new people. There's a guy that's having seizures almost every day. I woke up with his messaging, and he goes to the doctor for MRIs, and they put iodine. He was worried about the iodine that they used for the MRI, but he first time in a month, that is they do it every month, first time in a year that his tumor wasn't bigger, which really surprised the doctors. I witnessed with my own two eyes a 10-year-old nonverbal, non-potty trained autistic girl who, on about 3 days of taking a lot of MasterPeace, well over the normal dose, was potty trained. So by the second week, she was saying 3 words, and was actually, what's really important was her calmness. Her name was Alyssa. So she tried to drown my 3-year-old kid. She was so out of control, and by the second week, she was just so there and was feeling heard. And that meant that was just incredible. I've seen wound healing that was amazing. I think most everybody experiences a much higher dream vividness and dream clarity and better sleep. And that is key, right? I think the Sleep Institute has put out countless studies about how sleep is as critical to how good your emotional state of being and your whole day goes has a lot to do with how good a sleep you're getting. And so we're definitely seeing across the board improvements on sleeping. I believe every single person around me has had some really amazing testimonials, because what happens is we're getting to a new level, right? We're getting to where we're actually helping the body in a state where it hasn't had that support and help before. And so what happens is people that for their lifetime that has their issues, whatever they are, they start taking MasterPeace, and then their testimonials are that they did it all, everything they could think of, seen every doctor, went every approach to get whatever issues they had taken care of and address them. And then they take MasterPeace, and it doesn't mean all the stuff, of course, but I would say that they get subtle, consistent improvements.
Do you hear from anyone complaining about too much detox?
What we are seeing from the formula and with MasterPeace is that it's probably about 50 times less than any product that has zeolite in it that you've seen. Now it does happen though. I would say, well, it's been over 2 months. It's been since our launch since I've heard anybody really complain about having headaches the next day that they were attributing or thought could be MasterPeace. A lot of that comes from removing stuff out of your body, heavy metals, and there not being a replacement there. So if you have zeolite with water, or you have zeolite powder and you put it with water, you're pulling out junk, but you're not really giving it the most perfect environment and minerals and nutrients to be able to get an exchange. And so that's why it's so important when you take the MasterPeace formula, you got marine plasma right there. So as soon as a bad thing is leaving, a good thing is replacing it, the most nutrient dense. So do we see it? 1 out of 300 or 400 people, maybe, which is
so,
and it's only for like the first day or two, maybe.
I guess a caveat here then, if you experience a negative effect, drink more water, wait a few days.
We usually tell
That's our
sensitive
advice.
people, if you know you're already sensitive, just to start with 1 drop twice a day. Just there's no reason, unless you're in an acute situation, you can start slow. So start with 1 drop twice a day and go up to 2 the next day and 3 the next day, and
Okay, well, I mean, I jumped in. I took 6 drops twice a day, going for it, full tilt, and one strange side effect is that my level of consciousness jumped up 100 points.
right.
Which, for those of you who understand what that meant, is like, oh.
Did you measure that, Martin?
I
Did you have a way to?
I have people
Okay.
on my team who do that sort of stuff, and they want to know, are people on the team okay? Are we on the path? Are we whatever?
Yeah.
I'm being remotely checked, and and the team says, whatever happened with you? How come you jumped 100 points
Wow, that is
since
huge.
last check-in?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We do the checks too on our own team,
yes.
actually. I was going to say, so Matt has checked our whole team as far as the consciousness and our intentions and all that. And I don't think they've seen anything so high. We're almost at 1,000 as a team. So
right.
It's crazy.
Right.
So
we are fearless and incorruptible to get this out to the masses. This helps everybody,
But I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's Martin. That's huge to me. I never heard of that, and anyone checking that anyway. And so that is more of a concrete way to know that it's doing what other people are feeling that it's doing.
That's right. Martin, can I ask you a question? So you guys muscle test your products as a whole and so forth, and probably have checked a lot of products, I guess. So
yes, we do all that.
So let's be blunt. Have you ever tested a product that operated higher on behalf of the highest good for all of humanity as a food or dietary supplement as MasterPeace?
One.
What is it?
It was called The Gift, and I can't get it anymore because the guy, an alchemist, retired.
Oh wow!
And it was enormous. It was an enormous-based product that was specifically injected a high consciousness vibration. And,
yes.
So are you saying then, Martin, that what's available now, as far as there isn't anything that's higher?
Yeah, this is the highest vibration product I currently have in my store.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Then we're not going to pounce on you because we've had so many different muscle testers and kinesiology people test it, and everything we put into it. I was not an expert formulator or anything 2 or 3 years ago. It was all like finding the right person who really understood it, and we had to do that. That's so awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And so this was created and made in a way to be even affordable, but it's so dense that everything we're doing is we want everyone to be able to get a chance out there to find out about the MasterPeace formula and be able to decide or not if they want to give themselves a chance and see if they can experience some of what other people are experiencing across the board. And that was our goal. That was our goal. And so
it's rather noble. I will want to issue a warning for any users of this, because if you are going to hope to remain a destructive person and keep taking this, perish the hope. This will flip your world upside down.
Yeah.
So if you're a committed narcissist or committed sociopath, and you know you are one, and you know you want to stay one, stay the heck away from this.
Completely.
We've had weight loss stories too. There's one personally,
Yep.
someone that is a friend of mine started taking it, and I've been working with her, not necessarily on her health because I am a health coach, but we've talked about things. And her first bottle, and she's the type that she will report every little detail and write it down in journal. And she's like, Terry, I'm losing weight, like almost a pound a day, and this went on for like the whole month. She lost, I think it ended up to be 20. And so talking about the poisons that are housed in our body, they're housed in our fat cells. Emotions are housed in our fascia. So the fat cells carry the poisons, and they can also be in other areas too, like the brain, but the brain is mostly fat, right? So I said, well, I think what's happening, and we know this as health coaches, is that let's say you go on a harsh diet and you lose a lot of weight, you could get a lot of detox symptoms because you're releasing all that, right? So I think, and she didn't change anything else. She just took MasterPeace. I think it was just clearing out the debris. And with the debris comes water.
Yeah, you can think of this as a two-way street. One is when toxins come in, you need fat cells to store them if you can't eliminate. But the other way around too is when you get rid of the fat, you no longer need as many, or the volume of the fat cells. So you can start shrinking that when toxins leave.
Right.
And
right.
that's
You
what
don't
you're
lose fat
describing.
cells. Yeah, you don't lose fat cells. We all are born with whatever amount we're going to have, fixed number. Yep. And so they just poof out. And so with water, so that will just discharge the water with the toxin in it. And I think that's what's happening to her. And she even had better thyroid function. So that could have been it too, is her thyroid, which was hypo prior. And she has another testimonial that she's going to give me her lab results so I can see the numbers. But it could be the thyroid too, is now you're detoxing the thyroid and it's working better metabolism. That doesn't happen really often, but and that's the thing about getting your body healthy. Your body is going to balance itself. It's going to do what it needs to do once you give it the raw material to do that. And so that's what we're doing on this level. And it's not the only thing. There's other things you need to do. Lifestyle is really important, and the quality of the water and all those things. But your body will heal and reach homeostasis, but you've got to have the right raw materials for that to happen.
Yes.
I think we should hang it up on that. All right, Matt Hazen and Terry, thank you very much. I am feeling very lucky to have come across this, and we're launching MasterPeace to our audience with great expectation of healings and consciousness and expansion of goodness, goodwill, and peace. That word peace in that product is probably well chosen.
Right.
It's the way forward.
That's right.
Thank you very much. This is Martin Pytela for Life Enthusiast. You can find us at life-enthusiast.com and on the phone at 866-543-3388. Thank you.